She seemed destined for stardom from the moment she was born. After all, her parents were Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. By the time she was 21, she was starring in one of the biggest blockbusters of all time, Star Wars. Her other films include The Blues Brothers, Hannah and Her Sisters, and When Harry Met Sally. Also an accomplished author, her debut novel, the semi-autobiographical Postcards from the Edge, was a New York Times bestseller. And the recording of her one-woman play, Wishful Drinking, earned her a Grammy nomination. There have also been the darker moments, struggles with drug addiction, and an ongoing battle with bipolar disorder. But her wit and humor have carried her through it all. Hello, I'm Ernie Manouse. Coming up on InnerVIEWS, our conversation with actress, novelist, and screenwriter, Princess Leia herself, Carrie Fisher. Had to write the book of A Child of Some Stars, would the story have been anything like the life you led?
I would never have thought it would be as weird. I think I would have thought like other people thought, like, oh, she grew up in a nice house with a pretty tricycle and help. And I suppose from a certain angle it looked like that. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know what kind of book we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, when you say weird, do you see your life as having been weird? I've talked to other people who have grown up in unique circumstances, but that's the only circumstances they know. So when do you realize it's not what everybody else is living?
Early on, I did what everybody did. I looked TV for where the reality was. And I knew it wasn't like Father Knows Best. So that was my standard. And that wasn't happening. But it wasn't just the fact that no one was calling me princess yet and pulling me onto their lap. It was the fact that they lived in a house and there was a couple and there was a family, and so it wasn't like that. But I think most people that I've met that are my age looked at Father Knows Best and found themselves wanting.
So when do you realize, though, that yours was a unique situation? You know it's not
Well,
Father Knows Best.
Everyone's is unique. You mean in the show business way? Well, it came in stages. There wasn't like, a moment where it was, look how did I get here? But I always did have the feeling of being an observer. So I always watched it. And other people were watching. So I was just watching from the outside, from the inside out.
I had read somewhere that you never wanted to write an autobiography. That back when you were doing Postcards from the Edge and writing from that point of view, the fictionalized accounts.
Yeah, there's so much more freedom in that.
So why did you?
I didn't actually. I wrote the show.
Wishful Drinking.
There was no book. And it isn't a memoir. I mean, it isn't like, so I was born, and then these were my first 3 years, and then I went to school, and I did the show, and the show was sort of based on, it kind of sprang out of me giving awards to all these people, like, when I would give my mother, George Lucas, I was giving Merrill awards for a while, there was just, and then I get mental illness awards, mentally ill human of the year. So there was material. I was giving Elizabeth Taylor awards. I thanked her for getting my father out of the house. So it just became that. It became, sort of material. And it's safer if you think of your life as material.
Yeah. But then you took the stage show and wrote the book.
Yeah, the stage show was written. It was there. So I just had to fatten it for the book, because it doesn't literally translate from one format like that to another.
Was it harder to explain to people the show, the book, than it was when you did the Postcards from the Edge and it was fictionalized? Did people take one easier than the other?
Well, the thing is, there's sort of a barrier when you write fiction. That they, of course, they know a lot of it's autobiographical, but there's stuff that is not. And you can go. I found it was easier for me to go much more sort of internal and emotionally than I could if I'm writing first-person memoir. I like the distance. I like being the observer who looked from the inside out. So that's how I wrote this.
Yeah. When you script doctor, when you move in and you look at somebody else's work and you're going to spruce it up, do you feel you have total freedom, or do you have to be...
Never. No, not. And in that situation, you're there to respect the original writer's voice.
Yeah.
And you're there to service the director's needs. And generally, when I came onto those scripts, there was usually an actor already in place, so then you're writing for that person, And I was usually brought on to do a particular thing, which was to make the love scenes better and the women smarter. So I had a lot of fun doing that until I came to the end of that.
Yeah. Why did you come to the end of that?
Well, here's my electric cigarettes. I should probably explain that before it looks any weirder. They're both cigarettes. This one is a new one that I got in New York that really is way too much like one. It ended... Just a moment.
Okay.
It ended because everyone wanted it. It just was a job that was so inflated, and I never wanted to do it to begin with. And it was Spielberg that got me to do it after I wrote Postcard for the movie of Postcards, and so I'm sort of... That's my audition piece, to sort of say, look, I can write dialogue. So he got me doing it, and I was working on Hook for so long that I took another job to get... That was the only way to get off it. Not that it was a bad thing, but I was working also not being really paid.
Right.
Stephen gave me his car.
Well, that's a nice payment.
All of it was fun like that. It was like this amazing... I think that's the only time that I got into show business, like probably other people do, like, how did I get here? Who said there was a job like this? Wow. Because I was intimidated by it, I'd written that one script, and so, but I really liked working on dialogue, and I used to fool around with my own, but that's entirely different. Where they're at now, there's new writers now. And there's always someone that just wrote that great script, and they're going to get him to do it. And otherwise, it started to be, well, the director and the producer want to meet you, and they want you for it, but they just want you to come in and pitch what you would do. Mm-hmm. And then it was beyond pitching. They want you to write down, basically, and then they don't hire you.
Right.
So they've gotten you to work already. Well, I think I was overpaid. Anybody's overpaid doing that job. But there's got to be something between overpaid and free. So here I am.
And this is between it.
Here we are, yeah.
Do you miss doing it, though? The
I
actual
actually did
work
it last
itself.
week.
Okay. Oh, so then you're still doing it.
No, I still do this stuff now and again. I just was doing it all the time then.
Yeah.
So I seem to go... I do everything sort of like do it to death or not at all.
Okay, a lot of people would assume that you would become an actress. That seemed a rightful path for you to go. And you did a couple memorable roles that people might remember you from. What fascinates me is the writing. Where did that voice come from, and when did you realize you had that talent?
I didn't go after it like a talent. When I started reading books, and part of it was I was trying to please my dad. And my dad had told me, there's this writer named Arthur Rimbaud. And, so I'm 16, 15 years old, and I'm reading The Drunken Boat. But I started reading books, and I fell in love with words. So I'll still do, you read books. That's why I don't like the Kindle and stuff. I like to underline it and mess it all up and mark off. And so I started to do that, and I just loved words, and I loved the voices that, different writers had, different characters had, and it was a whole world that you could slip into, and it was a world that would organize around you, and it would work out, whether it's a happy ending or not. It's this, beginning, middle, and end, and there's this journey that you're going to go on, and it was just very emotional, and I could lose myself in it. So for me, books were my first drug. So, I got into dealing.
Yeah. Do you find things that you wrote during certain periods of your time, when you go back and read them, you can remember the times that you might have been having health issues and troubles, and then you go back and read it, it can take you back there?
Yes. I mean, not all the way back to the troubles, but sometimes. I mean, I was looking at something. It's sort of like an archaeological dig, you know. You go and I took notes on some of the stuff, right? I would take notes on fights I was having, and there would be certain things I would say, you're trying to capture it, you know, like people that put pins in butterflies. So a lot of what I did, I would probably split in half. You know, what I was doing was preserving things that had happened already and imagining other outcomes of things that had happened and hadn't worked out like I wanted.
Yeah. I want to take you back. You mentioned your father, and in almost every interview I see, they talk about your mom and your father and Elizabeth Taylor and the whole situation that went on there. But from looking at it, you were 2 years old when that happened. Did the outside world, have we put more significance on that than your family ever did?
On that drama?
Yeah. Or was that something
drama as it
out?
affected me much more. I mean, I was literally described by not Anderson Cooper, what's that guy's name? The interviewee person that's come with an English accent to
Piers
CNN.
Morgan.
Yes. He said, now we're going to have Elizabeth Taylor's stepdaughter. And it was like, well, I guess, but that was about 50 years ago, literally. And I don't remember, I only remember meeting her at that time, I was a baby. So, you know, in terms of how it impacted me just because it was a woman that my father left my mother for.
Right.
But the rest of it, you know, it's just like having something happen in your neighborhood, I suppose. Only my neighborhood was a lot of the world.
Yeah. But it's funny how it has so defined the story of you, and yet it was such a small part, truly, of your life experience.
Well, but it affected everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it affects the kind of men you're going to go after are going to be the ones that disappoint you. Or you're going to read the situation that way because that's what you know how to do.
Yeah. When do you come to that realization?
After a few relationships.
Yeah.
No, actually, very early on, if you look at stuff that I've written like 16, I wrote, love for me is a long-lasting longing for someone whom I cannot quite touch. I'm at 15 years old.
Wow.
So don't offer me love, I seek disinterest and denial. 15. So I was already abstracting things, and I was clinically observing it, and that's what language did for me. That was, people ask if it's therapeutic. It puts it into kind of this math, this verbal math, and it just kind of, I don't know, it preserves it.
Then you have a little role, Princess Leia.
Right.
So much fame and attention comes with it.
Right.
Is that good for a person like you, do you think?
I don't know what's good for a person like me. I know what's bad, probably. But even that, from a certain slant. Look, it would have been a neater trick for me to get out of show business than to do what happened, which was to just kind of stay in. I didn't want to be an actress. I watched what it did to people's lives, the kind of trying to hold on to it as it slips away. It is organized to disappoint. Well, it's organized just to fade. You know, Nothing can stay that way. The physics of it are against you. And I knew that, and I watched it, and I knew what it would do. I knew it would dial down. You know, you don't like getting old anyway. Try doing it in front of everyone.
Right.
You're not allowed to get old, get fat, get trouble. You know, it's all magnified. And, you know, you're already magnified anyway. I mean, I was brought up by focus pullers, I like to say so. You know, we're designed more for public than private. Or private is public. I mean, there's no boundaries.
And I want to get back to Star Wars, but I do want to say, when you say, and you get fatter and you gain weight, you look great. You have lost a lot of weight.
Somebody took a picture of me recently, and has put it online. Oh, Carrie's gained weight. And then I was asked to go on, so actually, this is a scoop for you. This is me fat. And they got a really bad picture of me, printed it. And you want to go, also, in the picture, it says I'm 55. So you have an expectation that I should look like whom? Look like what at 55? So anyway, that they do that stuff, which is, it's painful.
Yeah. Is it harder, do you think, to lose weight or to avoid substances? Because I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult food addictions can be.
Substances.
Oh, actually, yeah.
I can eat something, but once I've swallowed it, it's over. With a drug, you swallow it and you're just starting. Depending. Alcohol, it lasts longer, but you don't stay stoned forever. Whereas with food, it's like it's a high right then, and then you're fat forever.
And I've heard you talk now about some of the treatments you're doing, and it's not electroshock therapy anymore, it's called, but ECT. Mm-hmm. What exactly is that? Because like you say often, people think it's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
They just put it in this show that they're doing now on one of the cable shows, Homeland. They showed Claire Danes with a rubber ball in her mouth, and it's like, I think that stuff's, I don't know, it's got so much stigma anyway, and certainly that's never been, they put you to sleep.
So you're not feeling pain
There's
or anything?
There's nothing, and you don't, there's a medication, of course, now that they've given, that there is no convulsions, so it's not even accurately named any longer.
Yeah. And what happens in the process? What is it doing when these shocks hit your brain?
It does fast what medication does slow. I mean, I always had the sensation of it, you feeling like you're kind of stuck. It just kind of like takes out the, not waiting for the ice to melt so you shatter some of it down. You have to really be in a situation where, I had tried everything else. Right. And so, but it's a shame that I didn't know about it sooner. So then you have to literally wait till what? I'm suicidal? Right. Not that I was, but, that's my line in postcards is, you have very suicidal behavior. Well, my behavior might be, but I'm certainly not. So, I waited for a really long time because of all that.
Yeah. Is that in place now of other medications, or do you have to take it with other medications?
Nothing's ever in place. It always kind of travels along the way. I'm interested in maybe sometimes seeing what's behind the curtain.
Do you ever feel that you are, and I hate to use the word, so please, but healed? Does it ever get fixed?
That's never been a goal of mine. That's a very dramatic goal. But my life, you accept things more. So you're not looking for healing. You're looking to appreciate things in your life. I have so much to be, grateful for. I can't even find the word. But so that I look at things differently now. So yes, in a way, I was never healed, and I always was, depending on my slant. There were so many things I always had that I didn't really appreciate because I was looking what I didn't have. So,
does the Woman Show give you an opportunity to clean house in some ways, to let old stories go because now you've put them out in this way, or no?
No, I think that's everyone's fantasy. It's like, I get asked certain questions, and they're sort of, when did you stop beating your wife questions? Like, do you ever get sick of the Star Wars questions? Well, you just answered that. You know what I mean?
Right.
The question is, you get sick of it, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, so and I think it was healing, the observing in general. Once I get it into the math state of, I want to put it the exact way. I want to put it the best way, but I want to put it really, make you clearly see what I feel, and which was not clear to me for so long.
Why do you think it's important to share that, though? Why do you think there's an audience that comes to see it?
Well, I think a lot of people have a lot of, everybody, no one's sort of smoothly walking through their lives going, ha, 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 ha. Or if they are, please come talk to me. Who are you? But I did think that was what adulthood was. I looked at people when I was a little kid, especially at parties, and that's what I thought alcohol and adulthood was. So it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But I think people, we have an introspective experience. I mean, I do, so I assume everyone does.
Yeah.
But I guess there are people that don't. named Jeff that play golf. I don't know. But I just think we're all more like each other than not. Or certainly, there's a tribe of people, and I think it's comfortable to be able to relate to people, especially on issues that you don't often talk about, because that's the way our culture has been organized.
Do you find there's things you can't bring up in the show? That when you were putting it together, there were some areas you just, either for your own personal...
Not for me, but for other people, yes. Yes. I mean, because when you can claim something, I say it in the show, it has far less power over you. If I can say it like this, and the thing was with all these things, I didn't come out and go, hey, look, I'm a car accident, I'm mentally... It was out. So if it's going to be out, then I'm going to put it my way.
Yeah, so you get to
I'd
own
rather...
it.
Well, it's already out. So if there was gossip about you on the playground, in the cafeteria, and wherever, don't you want to get a hold of it and say, no, but it was this way?
Right.
Okay, so that's my whole experience here. No, it was this way.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
Talking about how things happen, you and your mom seem to get along now.
We better, because we live in the same...
Yeah, you live next door to each other? Mm-hmm. How is that?
It's great. We're both really too old to run into each other that often. There's a big hill between us. And we share... The way it gets tricky is we share custody of my dog, who she has stolen from me.
But there was a time that the two of you didn't get along so well.
When I was an adolescent. If you get along with your mother and you're an adolescent, your father is that guy Jeff playing golf, and I don't know you. I mean, it's standard stuff. And again, because we're show business people, because we're bigger, we did the standard stuff louder, bigger, more for the neighbors. But it was the same stuff.
Something else I need to ask you about before we run out of time, which is just kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. Mm-hmm. The Star Wars Christmas special. It seems to be the coveted, desired thing of all collectors.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what I did? I did something. George asked me to do something. I forget what it was. Something that was annoying. Like a voiceover introduction of one. And so I said, I'll do it if you give me that. And so he gave it to me, and we had a party. And we showed it, and it was so bad, it's not funny. So I don't know why collectors want it, just to be able to say they have it.
Something, yeah.
No, it's so bad, it's not funny. You have to keep leaving and coming back, or it's funnier to tell what's in it, kind of. Jefferson Airplane.
What do you get a Wookiee for Christmas?
Wookiee Life Day. It's not Christmas.
Oh.
It's Wookiee Life Day. It's just bad in every direction. It's hilarious. And we're all in there.
Are you surprised the staying power that all of this has had? I know you say you're not surprised it was successful, but that today people still are interested in it. Does that surprise you?
Things don't surprise me much at all.
I'm getting that feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, but it doesn't surprise me. Certainly with the way celebrity is organized now, or the entertainment, or, the 24-hour news cycle that we have, or whatever it is, people like spectacle, Mm-hmm. And these were the fairy tales of whatever generation that was or is. And that's what people are looking for, I think, fables and things that the children always had that comforted them.
I had read somewhere that you had said at one point you wished you hadn't done the role.
People want me to say that. No. I would rather have been Harrison. Han Solo's part was the best one. So no. They want me to say it, so there's something perverse in me that won't.
Right.
Because it's when did you stop beating your wife?
Okay, let me ask a different spin, though, on the question. If you could have placed it at a different point in your career, would you have?
Now. Yeah, I want to do the swing across now in the metal bikini. Now. Yes, I would have done it now.
But it was so big, so quick in your career that's why.
Sure, there's other ways things could have happened that it would have been easier on me, but nothing was ever easy on me.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have something be rough on someone, probably should be me, because, I'm there anyway, taking. So, what is that called? A lab rat. So you might as well do it to me. So they did it to me. But yeah, it would have been easier to get all this stuff later so that I know, I should save money, right? Oh, God. So, those are the things you learn, but that's not peculiar to Star Wars.
Right.
Or is it?
Now, you do say in the show that you go to fan conventions and wander those and enjoy that. Do you still do that?
Sometimes, yeah, I do it. That is really weird. But yeah, sure. Look, if I think something's weird, it's got to be amazing.
It's got to be out there.
So that's really weird, yeah.
So what are you working on now? I'm always curious, where is this talent going next?
To the funeral museum here in town. There is a funeral museum in Houston, and there's a beer house. And I'll probably buy some more cigarettes. I've done an adaptation of The Best Awful for Meg Ryan, so we're trying to get that done finally after years and years and years. And after I finish here, I'm going to start. I have a screenplay I want to do, and I'm going to start another book. So,
well,
I have a daughter.
And you have a daughter. Well,
yes.
Thank you so much for all of the entertainment, the joy, and the stories you've given us.
And
over
the
the
sorrow.
Years. And the sorrow. Well, the sorrow comes with the joy.
I've given you my
sorry
so that you would take it away.
Well, I've taken it then. Carrie Fisher,
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To order a DVD of this or any episode of Interviews, please visit HoustonPBS.org.